Hi, welcome back to the workshop for episode 41 of the ES335 build, and this time we're just going to be tackling a few little last jobs that we need to do before we can get this neck glued into the body. Okay, so in the last episode we got the body sanded to a reasonable finish, so there's not much work to do there, and there's nothing to stop me now from gluing the neck into this. However, there are a couple of jobs that I need to do on the neck that are going to be a lot easier if I haven't got the body hanging off it. And namely, they are fitting the tuners and just sorting out the final shaping on the headstock itself. I'll bring you in a little bit closer and show you what I mean, but in particular I'm thinking about the top profile there, which still needs a little bit of fine detailing work done to it. So that's what I'm going to cover in this episode, getting the headstock properly finished off and getting the neck ready to be glued in. And what I've got to put on this guitar is a set of Clusen vintage tuners, and they are that style of vintage tuner with the kind of greenish looking plastic buttons on, which I think are going to look absolutely lovely. But before we can do anything about putting them on, we need to sort out where exactly on this headstock they're going to go. And for that, we need to refer back to the drawing. And just by running a rule over this drawing very quickly, you can ascertain that they're kind of offset from one another. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take a pair of dividers and start to establish some measurements. And once again, these drawings prove to be a little bit all over the shop. So these tuners here are kind of positioned on the drawing, at least, kind of a good 2 or 3 mil further away from the centre line than the ones on the base side of the neck. So I'm not going to do that. I am going to position mine nice and evenly. So we're just going to start by making sure that that centre line is nice and clear again. And then I need to measure how far down that centre line I'm going. This one's 37. Next one's 75. And the final one, 109 mil. This is quite awkward. Can't really see what I'm doing much of the time. Okay, so hopefully you can see there that we've got those marked in. So now it's just a case of setting the dividers up to the appropriate measurements and just using the divider to make a little mark in the appropriate position. And then before I do anything else, I'm just going to check that that's actually going to work with the tuners that we've got. and that will be absolutely fine. Okay, so that's all marked up with the little scratch marks. I had to actually move this line down a little bit because it would have left the bushing very, very close to the logo. So I've just moved it down a couple of mil just to give us a little bit of clearance there, but I'm sure that will all work out absolutely fine. So next up now is I'm just going to put a little awl mark onto all of those so I've got a centre for drilling. And then we just need to do some measuring to know what size drill bits we're going to use. And those posts are coming in at 6.3 mil. So I'm probably going to go with a 7 mil drill bit. And the bushings are measuring 8.8. So I'll have to see, well, probably going to have to go with a 8.5 mil drill bit there. But we'll get some drills out and we'll see what we've got. Okay, so first I've got this set up with the depth stop with an 8 mil drill bit, and that's going to take out the waste for the bushings, so that's set up to stop once it's gone in about 8 mil. And then once I've got those drilled out, I'll then change this to a 7 mil drill bit and we'll drill the holes through the headstock then. And then I'll need to just open out the bushing holes ever so slightly to about 8.5-ish mil so we can get the bushings installed. Okay, let's go. Okay, so with that done, we'll swap out the 8 mil drill bit for a 7 mil drill bit, and I'm just going to reset my depth stop so that that brad point will just be breaking through the back of the headstock, just to avoid any tear out. Now we can go again. I'm trying my best to get the centre of these holes, which is not going to be easy because it's very difficult to see in there. Left some nice little holes in the back of the headstock, which I can now use to drill out the rest of the waste. Okay, and then the final little step is I've got an 8.5mm drill bit in here, which is still a little bit undersized. I'm just going to use that to open out those holes ever so slightly. Okay, and there we have the drilled out headstock. Now these bushings are still a little bit tight, so I think I'm going to have to kind of ream those holes out a little bit further, but I can leave them for the time being. I think that's absolutely fine for now. So now we need to get these tuners in place and get them set up to be screwed in. And to get these in the right orientation, the tuner post needs to be above the string post, so towards the top of the headstock. So I'm going to start with these two. All I do is put them in their respective holes and just hold a straight edge up underneath them like that, and from there you can mark the first set of holes, get those screws in, and then put the second set of holes in. And just put a little mark in with the awl where those two screws need to go, and then I've got 2mm drill bit with the tape flag on so I don't drill too deep. And as always, before I put that in, I'm just going to put a little bit of wax onto the threads. These screws can be a little bit delicate and fairly easy to break. A little bit of wax just lubricates it. And helps it go in safely. And then just line them up. Okay, so now we've got those on, next thing we need to do, take them all back off again, because the next job on the agenda is to get this headstock shaped properly at the top. Okay, so the last little job I want to get done is to just tidy up this little part of the headstock shape, because what I want is for that to be into quite a sharp V shape, but it's just not really there yet. I'm just going to get that gently in the vise, and I'm just going to take a little triangular file and just start working that down in the middle. And I'm hoping it's not actually going to take long to do. Now I've defined that little slot in there a little bit, all I'm going to do, grab something to rest it on so I can see what I'm doing, is I'm now just going to blend that in till we get a nice smooth shape. Okay, I'm not sure how well you'll see that, but really happy with that now. It's just giving it that little dip in at the top. Okay, and that is that done. Really happy with how that's come out. Looking really good. Hasn't caused any damage to the headstock veneer, which was my major worry. So that's good. No blowouts on the back either. So with those two little jobs out of the way, we can actually now crack on and kind of look at getting this attached to the body. However, that's going to be for next time. Now normally at this point I'll be saying I'll see you in a couple of days. However, this is a really busy time of the year for me, and I've got a few real world deadlines that are looming very soon, and I'll be honest, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about them. So this is going to be the last video of this week. I'll be back again this time next week with the follow-up to this one, when we will eventually get this neck set into the body. So as always, like if you've liked, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.